I'm Andreas Hamberger, and this is the Hamberger Report, where I cover AI governance, enterprise architecture, and the technology decisions that actually matter to the people who have to make them. If you find this useful, subscribe and hit the like button. It helps more professionals find the channel. Now let's get into it. $2.52 trillion. That is what the world will spend on artificial intelligence in 2026. A 44% increase on last year, more than the GDP of Italy. And in that same month, Gartner placed generative AI in the Trough of Disillusionment. The most expensive technology investment in human history has officially entered the phase where reality collides with expectation. Here is what makes that number stranger. A report from MIT's NANDA lab found that despite $30 to $40 billion in enterprise AI investment, 95% of organizations are getting zero return. Not modest return, not negative return, zero. I'm Andreas Hamberger. This is the Hamberger Report, where I cover AI governance and what it means for the professionals who have to make it work. Late last year, I spoke with a procurement director at a large Australasian logistics firm. His company had committed over 12 million New Zealand dollars to AI integration across 3 business units. I asked who owned the governance framework for those deployments. He paused. The vendor, he said, I think. $12 million in AI spending. Nobody in the building could name the person accountable for how those systems made decisions. How do you square record spending with near-universal failure to capture value? The answer is this. Those numbers describe 2 different things. The spending figures measure conviction. The return figures measure execution. The gap between them is the defining story of artificial intelligence in 2026. To understand why this gap exists, it helps to look at what happened in Mainz in 1440. Gutenberg's press reduced the cost of producing a book by a factor of 10. Within decades, literacy climbed, the Renaissance spread, and Martin Luther's 95 Theses reached audiences no hand-copied pamphlet could touch. But the authorities responded with the Index Librorum Prohibitorum in 1559, the first systematic attempt to re-enclose knowledge that had been set free. That pattern, democratization followed by enclosure, is exactly what we are watching play out with AI right now. In January 2025, a small Chinese lab called DeepSeek released R1, an open-source reasoning model that matched the performance of closed Western frontier systems, built for a reported cost of under $6 million. It was AI's Gutenberg moment. The knowledge suddenly was available to anyone with a GPU and a connection. The enclosure response was swift. US export controls on advanced chips tightened through 2025. The EU AI Act staged enforcement, with high-risk system penalties reaching €35 million by August 2026, is building a regulatory architecture of its own. Meanwhile, the 5 largest technology companies now constitute 30% of the S&P 500. The greatest market concentration in half a century. Democratization and enclosure, running simultaneously. The decisions being made in boardrooms and parliaments in 2026 will determine which force dominates for the next decade. In October 2025, Deloitte submitted a government report to Australia's Department of Employment, containing fabricated citations and misquoted legal references generated by AI. A University of Sydney researcher caught the fabrications because he personally knew the cited authors and knew they had never written the attributed works. 3 months earlier, the acting director of the US Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency uploaded documents marked for official use only into the public version of ChatGPT. One of the world's largest governance advisory firms, the person responsible for defending national cybersecurity infrastructure, both undone by the same thing, speed without oversight. These are not edge cases. They are the norm. Throughout this series, I use two frameworks to describe where organizations are heading. The Skynet Vector describes AI deployment, governed by transparent oversight, principled human-in-the-loop decision-making, and equitable access to benefits. McKinsey's 2025 survey found that high-performing organizations, those attributing more than 5% of EBIT to AI, share one common trait: they redesigned workflows, defined when model outputs require human validation, and built governance structures before scaling. The payoff is trust, and trust compounds. The Skynet Vector is what happens when 88% of organizations deploy AI and fewer than 1% govern it properly. It produces organizations that move fast until the first serious incident, then discover they have no audit trail, no accountability chain, and no framework to prevent recurrence. The Deloitte Report. The CISA upload. The procurement director who thought the vendor owned governance. Every decision your organization makes about AI moves you toward one of these two vectors. There is no neutral position. The Trough of Disillusionment is a feature, not a bug. Every technology that matters passes through it. The dot-com crash wiped out companies with websites and no revenue. It did not wipe out the internet. Amazon, Google, and the entire digital economy emerged from that trough. Stronger. The companies that survived built real infrastructure, served real customers, and governed their operations for the long term. The same filter is being applied now. McKinsey's 2025 survey found that AI high performers share one characteristic that has nothing to do with model selection or compute budget. They redesigned their operating models. They built governance that makes AI observable, auditable, and reversible. The trough will reward those organizations. It will punish those that skip the work. Aotearoa, New Zealand is not insulated from this. The Reserve Bank's February 2026 analysis found that workers with bachelor's or master's degrees show no significant difference in AI exposure compared to those with no qualifications at all. The credential shield has collapsed. When your central bank starts mapping AI exposure to occupational classifications, this is no longer theoretical. It is economic planning. $2.5 trillion is being committed to AI this year. Your organization is spending some of it. The question is not whether to use AI. The question is whether the humans responsible for deploying it have done the work to make it accountable. That is what this series is about. If you are navigating AI governance in your organization, subscribe to the Hamberger Report for daily insights. New videos every day. That is the Hamberger Report for today. If this was useful, subscribe and hit the like button. It helps more professionals find the channel. You will find links to everything we covered in the description below. I am Andreas Hamberger, and I will see you tomorrow.